Hi there, I'm Coach Aaron here at Mini Hops Gymnastics. I'm the director of Trampoline and Tumbling here, and I'm coming today to talk to you about some basic shapes and drops for trampoline. So if you've got a trampoline out in your backyard, you want to get out there and you want to do stuff, the stuff that we're going to show you today is the basis for lots of other tricks later on. So we're going to talk about our four shapes: our straight jumps, our tuck jumps, our straddle jumps, and our pike jumps. We're going to talk about our four basic drops as well: our seat drops, our puppy drops or table drops, our front drops, and our back drops. But to start off with, I just want to give you a little bit of an introduction between what we work on, which is an Olympic style of trampoline, and what our freestyle program would work on, which is a freestyle, or what we call G-Tramp, which is short for garden tramp, or basically the types of trampoline you have in your backyard. Now behind me here, you can see a black trampoline and some white trampolines a little bit farther on. Our black trampolines are going to be just the same as you have in your backyard. They're not going to bounce quite as high. They're going to be a very flat, smooth bed and be real nice and easy on your feet. This is what you would normally know. Now behind those, you're going to see some white trampolines. Those have what we call a string bed on them, and those are extremely bouncy. There's little tiny holes in between. They're a little bit rough on the feet to help you grip, and you can jump really high. Our best bouncers can jump upwards of anywhere between 10 and 20 feet in the air and then start flipping and twisting. So lot of excitement, a lot of difficulty, but also takes a lot of practice to start doing that sort of stuff. But we're going to start you off here. A couple of things to think about when you are outside on your trampoline and you're out there with your family or your friends. There's a couple of things that we really want to make sure that we're letting you know about, just for a safety standpoint. We want to make sure that we're bouncing one at a time. If you go out and watch a lot of videos of freestyle trampoline and G-Tramp and you're tricking, you're going to see a lot of times more than one kid on the trampoline. You're going to see them bouncing, what we call double bouncing, where they're pushing the trampoline bed down as the person doing the tricks is going into the bed to give them a higher bounce. That's not really a very safe practice. There's a lot of risk that goes with that. One of the big problems is as that trampoline bed comes back up, if the timing's not perfect, it can actually break bones, and that's where we get a little bit concerned. And another big thing is, especially when you get a size difference, like you get an older person with, say, a little toddler on the trampoline, and the bigger person is jumping up and down, and they just don't realize the force that's coming through the trampoline, and the little kid can get their legs broken. We don't really want that, so we want to try to avoid that. That's why we always suggest doing one at a time. But onto the differences between our freestyle and our Olympic style. In our Olympic style, thing is going to be very driven by form. We want to have very precise positions in the air. We want to have very precise shapes. Not as important in our freestyle and G-Tramp, because they're just more towards doing the trick and doing it as big as they can go, and it's about getting around and getting it done, as opposed to being judged and having perfect shapes and stuff like that. So our focus here is going to be that Olympic trampoline, where we are using very precise shapes. Now know that if you do just want to do the tricks, all these positions are very important for maybe at some point doing those freestyle skills. They'll help you be able to flip better, twist better, get more flips, get more twists as you get better and better. But again, I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to focus on our four main shapes. We've got our straight, our tuck, our straddle, and our pike. I'm going to go back on the trampoline here right now, and I am going to just give you a quick demonstration of what they are. All right, on our straight jumps, we want to have everything tight and close together. Our feet can be apart when we're on the trampoline, but in the air, we want to bring them together, point our toes, straight legs. And then as we go up, we want our arms to come up to the side and go above our heads. So we want to jump up and then bring our hands smoothly as possible. So we go up, up in the air, snap back down. Okay? So straight is really easy. You just try to keep your body as straight as you possibly can. Now, on all three of our other ones, our tuck, our straddle, and our pike, we want to touch a part of our body. We want to try to reach for our ankles, and then we want to do what I like to term painting my legs. So when I'm painting my legs, I'm going and just keeping my hand right on my leg and snapping back to this attention position. So if I'm doing my tuck, I'm going to touch my ankles and then paint my legs. Touch my ankles, paint my legs. Okay? On our straddle, the difference is we're going to keep our legs straight and we're going to go wide. We're still going to touch our ankles. We're still going to paint our legs. But we're still going to end in the same position. These all end in the same position. Jump up, touch ankles, paint my legs, and I'm back to the beginning. On our pike, we also want to keep our legs straight, but we want to keep them together and put them out in front of us. Touch like that. So again, straight out, and back to this position. So those are our four major shapes: our straight, our tuck, our straddle, and our pike. All right, so into our drops. We have our seat drop, our puppy drop, or our table drop, hands and knees drop. They get called all three different things. Our front drop and our back drop. Now, we've got lots of mats in here that we use, but if you don't have a mat at home, maybe a pillow or anything soft that you can throw underneath you if you need a little bit of help. Our seat drop. We want to keep our legs together, our toes pointed, and nice posture. So it'll be just like our pike jump, but this time we'll land just like that with straight legs. Now, as you're first getting out, you can just stand here and drop backwards. Okay? And then you're learning to keep those legs straight. As you get higher, we start adding that arm swing in and bringing our legs up second. Okay? And then again, I'm ending in the same position here. Everything goes back to this position. And then, as you learn to do it, you can also start learning to bounce in your drops, which can be fun too. More fun, I think, in your back and your puppy bouncing than maybe in your seat drop. That one's a little bit of tough. Our puppy bounce. Now, a lot of people will just drop right to their knees, and we call this a knee drop. The problem with a knee drop is a lot of times it can put our back in a really bad position, and if you don't maintain a perfectly straight up and down posture, that can injure ourselves, and we really don't want to do that. So we really recommend never doing just a straight knee drop. And then for our puppy bounce, we don't want to go straight from our feet to a puppy. We want to go from a seat drop to a puppy. Now, the nice part about this is when you want to start learning to flip, that motion of going from your seat to your puppy is the beginning of your front flip. So we're already talking about front flips, and we're just doing the two easiest drops that we have. All right, so that'll look like this. So we'll do our seat drop, and then we'll go to our puppy bounce. Now, when we're doing our puppy bounce, we're gonna do flat hands, push them straight out like this, and we make our triangle. Sometimes some people like to call it a little Hershey Kiss or a Dorito. We don't have those, we don't have the trademark on that, so we'll just call it a triangle for today. But anyways, you want to be looking straight through your triangle as you're in your puppy shape. Now you can start from your puppy shape and learn to just bounce right from the floor and try to keep them all together as you start going from your seat to your puppy and doing multiple bounces, which can be a lot of fun. So once we can bounce in our puppy like that, we can start going to our first front drop, which will go from our puppy to our front. So if we go seat puppy, we'll do a few puppies, and then we'll drop to our stomach, back to our puppy, and then we can play around going front puppy, front puppy, front puppy. It's just kind of a fun little game you can play with yourself. How many times can you keep that up? So we'll go seat, puppy, puppy. So a couple things to remember when you're doing your puppy bounce. Make sure you keep your arms straight. Keep your shoulders above your hands. Keep your hips above your knees, and keep your toes pointed. That way, if you do this, that can hurt your toes, and you don't want to do that. Keep them straight like that. When we drop down to our front drop, we keep our triangle, put it out here where we might read a book, look straight down through it, and our feet are up like this to keep them out of our way. If they're flat, as we're coming back to our feet, they can get in our way, and then it makes it difficult to do some tricks later on. So that allows us to get our chest back up quicker, get our lower body underneath us, and initiate rotation going backwards, which we'll get into some back flipping later on down the road. So I showed you the seat puppy tummy, and I showed you the front. When we start doing our front drop from our feet, can be a little bit more scary. I try to put my belly button down on the trampoline right where my toes were. So when I start out, I'll bend over, put my hands on my knees like this, and then I'll try to put my belly button right down where my toes are. So I'll just jump up just a little tiny bit and get everything down. And try to come back to my feet. Or I can bounce a few times on my stomach like we did in our puppy and our seat. I can use my knees, my elbows, and my hands to push myself up, but I have to keep my tummy really, really tight to make sure that my core stays strong and I stay level on the trampoline. And then as we start going from a bounce, we still want to get our belly button down to where our toes are. And then again, we're back to this position. All right, with our back drops, when we start off, I'm going to use a mat here. And you can use a pillow at home or whatever thing you have soft, a cushion from a lawn chair or something like that would work wonderfully as well. Just something to fall back on. But it's important that our back and our head is in a straight line and land straight. That way, if we try to tuck our chin in when we hit the mat, we'll whack our head back against the back, and we don't want to do that. And if we go arch too far, we're going to hit our head before anything else. So the goal is that our head hits at the same time as our back does. So the easiest way to start out, cross your hands across your chest and just tip backwards. Land nice and straight like that. As we get a little bit better, add one bounce. And as we get even better, we'll start adding our arms in a little bit. We can start with them just up. And then when we get even better, we'll want to be looking straight up in the sky with our hands and our feet pointing where our eyes are looking as well. So we'll go up. And again, back to this position. Now I'm doing my arms straight up. I'm jumping straight up in the air. And as I bring my legs up, that's going to tip me backwards. And I'm going to end up in this position looking straight up in the sky. So that's our backdrop. As you get more comfortable, take the mat off. And we can jump. And we're back here to this position. always ending in the same spot. All right. Challenge in this video. I've got a little bit of chalk here that we use in the gym. You can just use some sidewalk chalk. I'm going to draw a little circle right in the center. Now, in Olympic trampoline, we want to be in the middle of the trampoline all the time. You score the highest scores, it looks the best. As you get closer to the edges, things get messed up. So a challenge for you is seeing how many times you can bounce and how high you can bounce in this spot. Arms down, arms up, using arm swing. But we just want to try to stay in the spots. As a little game you can play, you can take your sidewalk chalk, draw a whole bunch of circles, just randomly all over the place. And you can play a little game trying to hit all the circles as you go around, and just a fun little way to challenge yourself to have a good time with it. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. I'd love to see what you're doing on your trampolines at home. You can shoot some video and go to our Facebook page at Mini Hops Gymnastics. Be sure to tag us and do a hashtag virtual MHG. Hope you're having a great time out there outside on your trampoline. We'll see you next time.